Good afternoon. In the remarks Paul made before we formally started about the need for financial support, there were some things he couldn't say because I'm the only one who could say them. What I want to make clear is that the reason I have set things up so that this work is done on a gift basis, so that it cannot possibly be construed to be a business, is because the work is nothing less and nothing more than an extension of love. And there's no way to charge for it. And to charge for it would be the equivalent of turning it into a product, which can't be done. And if it were turned into a product, it would be treated by you as a product. And you would be likely to miss the fact that the work is an extension of love. When a gathering is held here, or when we hold gatherings around the country or around the world, Paul is not a guest seeker who comes and does his gig and leaves. In order for me to be involved with you in this way, Paul has to be involved with you in this way. In other words, Paul cares, Susan cares about you. They are involved with you. And so, in a sense, you become friends. You become acquaintances, not an audience for whom they do their show, you see. In the Course it says to have, give all to all. The word all is not the key word. The word is give. To have, give. So, because this isn't a business, and because it is an extension of love on Paul's part and my part, and Susan's part, when you give to support the work, you are not only acknowledging me, but you're acknowledging Susan and Paul, and the gift, the effort, the persistence, the commitment that they bring to sharing with you all that they have to share. And so, if you remember when you are giving that it is a gift to human beings like yourself, who, to quote a phrase, have cared enough to give the very best, it will help keep this work in the context of love that it is being given in. And then, as I've said before, if you will do that in the grocery store when you pay your grocery bill, and you remember that you are giving to that clerk, you are giving to the stock boys, you are making a gift that is meaningful for them, you will find it easier to bring love into your transactions. And remember that it's not about getting things. It's about thanking people for having brought the things to where you can access them easily. You see? the human element gets lost in commerce. And one of the reasons that you have the circumstances going on in your in the business world today is because the human element has been lost in favor of leveraging gain, financial gain, through the manipulation of money, not the provision of goods, not the meeting of human needs, you see. So, please remember that what is happening right at this instant is Paul and Susan loving you. They are doing this not because I asked them to do it, but because they do care about you, you see. It's true that back in 1982, I told Paul he wouldn't be able to find any other work, but he could have said, I don't care enough about everybody to do this. You see? I can't twist his arm. I can't make him do a thing. So any willingness you see on his part to be here in this fashion with me and in this fashion with you is because there is 100% willingness to do it, and not because anyone has twisted his arm. And likewise, the same goes for Susan. So, let's keep humanity in the picture. Let's remember to care. Let's remember to be involved. And let's remember not to allow us the concept of transaction create a disconnect between each other. Now, Paul and Susan have had their moments where they have felt like calling it quits and going someplace where nobody knows them. Someplace real nice. But they are not going to do that. And they do hang in here through thick and thin. There's no reason for there to be thin. Don't care more for me than you care for Paul. Don't say, the Raj material is wonderful, and then let Paul go hungry. And then gripe because no tapes are available. Why don't they send the tapes? It costs almost $1,000 to send a one-page letter out that says we need help. This is truly an activity of love. And Paul and Susan and I have an object of our affection, and it's you. All of you. Anyone who might be even listening to a tape recording of this gathering sometime in the future. And that's what I will not allow anyone to become distracted from by apparently making it easy for Paul and Susan and everyone else by simply placing a charge on every item, which everyone would gladly pay. you see. Caring, involvement, witnessing for your brother, witnessing to the truth in your brother. All of these things are essential aspects of awakening. They are also essential aspects for turning the tide of events in your world today. And so in one way or another, you're going to continue hearing me talking about this and embellishing this and promoting your actually changing your behavior. Actually changing the way you use your mind. Paul doesn't usually say the Lord's Prayer at any time, but before the gathering, when he was sitting in the bedroom being still, he said the Lord's Prayer. And when he came to the line, "Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors," I highlighted it for him. You're asking God to forgive you your debts as you forgive your debtors. Do you see? And then this is basically the subject in one way or another that I've been talking about for the last 4 or 5 gatherings. The principle is that as you extend to your brother the gift of your willingness to see your brother the way God sees your brother, you forgive him. You forgive him all of the unloving thoughts, all of the critical attitudes you have held relative to your brother, and you loose your brother from the bondage of your negative viewpoint. And as you do that, you are infilled from the Father with the love that heals the relationship, and you are forgiven, you might say. If you want to experience wholeness, you will receive the experience of it as you offer it to your brother, not before you offer it to your brother. You see? This is why I talk about involvement. This is why I've been talking about caring, consideration, thoughtfulness of your brother. Not being so busy with your own business that you don't have time to notice what your brother's need is, that you don't have time to be present with your brother. And then be willing to be present with your brother with a conscious intent to witness for the very best in him. In order for me to speak to you, Paul has to subjugate his personal needs, his personal fears, his personal concerns, his sense of the need to protect himself. But in the process of doing it, he's blessed. And he is beginning to see that there might be value in staying with me and letting me respond to everything in between gatherings, and not giving precedence to his ego's fears. Because what's the point of it? He's beginning to see that there's no profit in dwelling in reaction. So if you don't want to have enemies, you've got to realize that you've got to extend to your enemy the perspective God can provide to you that clears your mind of everything unloving and everything uncaring that you have been extending to that brother or sister. You've got to bring a new element into the picture that has as its fundamental basis care. The reason an enemy behaves like an enemy is because they haven't been confronted by someone who cares. And in the absence of true caring, they have had to, or they believe that they have had to adopt an attitude of defense, which everyone else experiences as a form of attack. And to whatever degree you're unwilling to extend to your brother care, you are in a state of self-defense, of self-protection. And you need to be loved. Well, what better love could you bless yourself with than God's love for you by daring to care and extend it to your enemy, knowing that in the extension of it, you will receive it as well. Now, this is not complicated. This doesn't take a master's degree. It doesn't take hours and hours of study. It takes a moment of willingness. And it takes a willingness to value what will actually change your experience of the world and contribute to the greater ease of everyone else's being able to have a transformed experience of the world, so that ultimately they can see that it is and always was the kingdom of heaven, seen through a glass darkly, seen through the lens of self-protection, self-defense, which, although to the one practicing it, it feels like a shield of armor, to everyone else, it feels like attack. What feels to you like a shield of armor looks to everyone else to be you dressed up as a porcupine with quills to stay clear of, you see? So, you see, it doesn't require becoming spiritually lofty. It doesn't require complex metaphysical principles, which, if you can get them all successfully lined up all at the same time, you will be transformed. It takes a really simple, down-to-earth willingness to stop practicing defense and start practicing love by being willing to actually be aware of your brother or sister. To be able to be present with them, whether they're miserable or happy. And to anticipate their needs. And to be there, Johnny, on the spot in the places where you can respond to those needs. Because somehow it has become important to you to embody love. To embody caring. Embodying meaning to let it take form in acts of kindness, acts of thoughtfulness, words of support, hugs, Paul and Susan are hugging you right now. By caring. And in this act of caring enough to let me have voice, they are learning what the experience of being divine means, and so is everyone else. And that's the gift each of you has to give to each other. And I don't just mean each other in the sense that today all of you tend to be, this group is a like-minded group. I mean each other, your enemies, your friend you had a tiff with who isn't an enemy, whoever there's blocked communion with. You live in a world that seems to be under threat. And the state of threat seems to call you to be well prepared, well defended. The exact opposite of what is called for. The exact opposite of what will cause a shift that will remove the threat. The threat comes and your quills get longer. But what will reduce the threat is the absence of quills on you that allows the one threatening to see and feel that he doesn't need to be defended with you, and he can withdraw his threat. It isn't just a matter of your not having quills, it's a matter of being defenseless and caring about that brother who is being threatening. Whether it's Osama bin Laden or the Al-Qaeda being threatening, or whether it's George Bush getting the bigger quills, which constitutes threat. Or whether it is other countries in the world lining up, forming an alliance with the United States. The call is not for the ability to meet the threat with better defense. The only thing that will dissolve the threat is the conscious, real practice and extension of caring. And in the most practical terms, that means observing how you're using your mind and practicing some self-discipline so that you don't just let it run off in an old habit of judgment and condemnation and righteousness that seems to support the condemnation that you've come to. You've got to change the way you have to change the use you are putting your mind to. And if the call is for you to care about something or someone that you can't conceive of being able to care about, then it doesn't mean they're that bad. It means you have come up against a place where you can't conceive of how to love them. You've come up against a limit in you. And that's when you have to care about them enough to sit down and go within and ask, Father, what is the truth here that will unblock my unwillingness to care about this one? You've got to change your behavior. And you know what? God and the universe stand ready to fully support the clarification in you, in your mind, that will answer your need to be able to be unblocked with this individual or that circumstance where you say, I can't give love, I can't care. And if no one is willing to do that, the sense of threat is going to increase. Why? Because to the degree that you're unwilling to do that, you are resisting not only God, but you are resisting the experience of your true identity, and so you're in a state of self-denial. And when you're in a state of self-denial, it's an attack on yourself, which can only be experienced as suffering. And so, the more defended you become, the more threatened you will feel, and you will say, it's everyone else out there in the world. Watch how the world is getting so aggressive. We must be coming upon something very horrible. And you completely miss the point that it wouldn't be happening if you were not overlooking the fact that you are experiencing congestion in your heart of hearts. And that all you have to do is get in touch with your heart again. Get in touch with your love. Get in touch with the fact that you don't like to be hurting yourself. That you don't like the result of allowing the flow of your love to be blocked. And then realizing that the only thing that will unblock your love is to have an object of your affection and extend your affection to someone. Don't extend your love to God.